G'day and welcome to A Down Under Yarn. I am your host Fiona, also known as Fiffikins. Today is Thursday the 5th of December. I still don't know where November went. I'm just... Anyway, this is episode number 49. Almost a year. I think I recorded my first episode soon after Christmas. So we're coming up to the 1 year podiversary. So I might have to think about doing something special for that between Christmas and New Year. Welcome. Welcome to returning viewers. Welcome especially to new viewers. Thanks for coming and saying g'day and spending some time with me today. I am recording a day late. I've had a really lovely week. After, I think November was a bit of a, it was a really rough month, and just, I don't know, perhaps there's months that have 30 days in them, or 28 days. Months that have less than 31 days, perhaps they go, I know they go quicker because of the length of days in them, but I'm also wondering if, especially November, I don't know, it just seems November creeps up on you. I suppose in Australia it starts off the festive season with the Melbourne Cup Day, which is the first Tuesday in November, even though I didn't celebrate Melbourne Cup. Not observing Thanksgiving here in Australia means that Christmas can happen anytime from September onwards, basically. Shops start selling Christmas things. So school broke up last Friday, which meant last week was also really getting ready for that. So I probably should go back to the week that was. Thursday, Imogen had her braces on, and they weren't as painful as she was anticipating, but they were still painful. So that was that. That meant 2 trips to the orthodontist. In between that, I met up with my business mentor as part of my niece program. I'm also the dyer behind Solar Flare Fibres, for those new people who haven't quite worked that out yet. It's a company I founded this year. I started trading a few months ago now. Perhaps 4 or 5 months. I can't remember how long I've been trading for. Anyway, officially I've been trading for a little over a month. Before that it was market research. Anyway, part of my reason for doing this was something I enjoyed doing, and I found myself unemployed, and it's been very difficult to get a job. I'm in Cairns, which is in tropical North Queensland. We've got a population of about 100,000 in the region, but the job market has been particularly bad. I was actually talking to someone yesterday, and they've taken a job that probably is not the best for them to do in their career progression, but they found they just had to do it, and it's something they enjoy, but it's probably not going to be the best outcome in the long run, but they just found they had to do that. Anyway, so I am part of the New Enterprise Initiative Scheme, which is a government program that is for unemployed people to go on. You get 12 months of a bursary every fortnight, which is basically equivalent to unemployment benefits. So it's not a huge deal, but it keeps the wolf from the door, so to speak. And part of that, you have a business mentor who is attached to you for 12 months, and I had my first meeting with her last Thursday. Now, I will be honest and say November was an exceptionally quiet month. It was by far the quietest month I've had, and I took in less than half of what I'd taken in, much less than half, probably a third of what I'd taken in the month before. Now, I know the month before I'd had Christmas pre-orders and I'd had some finalising club colourways, so I know all that, and I know there's reasons for it, and I understand all of that, but here's me thinking, I've got my first meeting with my business mentor, and I've got to explain to her that I've had a really bad month. So she came here and she sat on the deck with me. I had sort of tidied it up, but not a lot. I thought, I can't just have everything really spotless, and she'll think all I'm doing is spending time cleaning up. So anyway, I had everything done. I had my books up to date. I had my business plan. I'd read through it again, so I knew exactly what I was talking about. I was able to do that. Anyway, she came and she asked how things had been, and I told her. And I was honest, and I said, you know, I'm going to be honest with you and say November was particularly quiet. And I said, there's probably some reasons for that. People are waiting until Christmas. People are doing this, people are doing that. We had a fantastic talk. She was so positive about everything. And she said, so what marketing are you doing? And I said, apart from a bit of social media, not a lot. I said, because one of the things we were told is don't put any marketing in place until you've spoken to your mentor. And she said, so what marketing were you planning on doing? And I said, look, I'd like to run some Facebook ads targeted at knitters, crocheters, crafters, and some Ravelry ads. And she said, that sounds fantastic. She said, have you thought about doing, say, YouTube or something? I said, well, I've got a weekly podcast. And she goes, you didn't put that in your business plan. I said, oh, that was probably a bit, you know. And she goes, that's fantastic. She said, so what else can you think of doing? And we had a great chat. And she said, do you put out a newsletter? And I said, no. And she goes, you really need to start putting out a newsletter. And I said, true. She said, how are people going to know exactly what's going on if they miss a podcast or if they're behind? And I thought, that is so true. So I've set up a newsletter group. I probably should say this week's episode is probably going to be very shop heavy. But hey, bear with me. So I've set up a mailing list. If you've ordered from me in the past, you have been entered into the mailing list. But I will put a link in the show notes. And the show notes are still available at fifykins.com. I'm waiting until the new year to move them over to solarflarefibers.com.au, which is the business blog that I'm also going to start updating more. Anyway, so we talked about that. She had another couple of ideas which were really, really good. And she said that the figures you have to put in your business plan, she said, they may look totally unrealistic to you. And she said, I'm not expecting you to hit them every month. And we will be able to justify not hitting what they say. She said, because this is not a typical business in the sense of a lot of the people who do NICE already have skills or have trades that they are branching out on their own. A lot of people go into house cleaning, for instance, or a cleaning business. And she said, now cleaning business, you can start off and you've got, 10 clients and you're building up on that. She said, and that is a lot of word of mouth. So it's a totally different business to dyeing yarn. She also looked at the product and she was just amazed, which was really nice. And she said, of all the people in my family, I'm the only one who's not really crafty. So we talked about that. So in the last week, I have actually set up some Ravelry ads that have started. And a little bit of Facebook. I've found Facebook particularly challenging with their rules and regulations. I've had 3 attempts. I think the 3rd attempt has worked, but I'm not happy with it. So we'll see how we go with that and see what it brings in. Someone else I spoke to said Facebook had been not very good for their business. So we'll see. It's a trial and error thing. It's not like I'm spending thousands and thousands of dollars on radio ads or anything like that. And I'll look at other options in the future. That being said, the business this week has had a really, really, really good week. I talked about with my mentor the concept of discounts, and we looked at the research, and the research shows that offering discounts for your business in the long term is not necessarily a very good business practice because people expect your product to be worth the 10% off that it is once a month or whenever. And we talked and I said, that's really interesting because the department store I used to work at, Myer, everyone says, I only go there when there's a sale on because that's what people expect. They expect that to be able to go and buy their sheets and towels at 25% off and their electrical at 10 to 15% off. No one's going to pay full price. So that was just a really, really interesting conversation we had. And I told her that for December I was giving an extra 15% on top of gift vouchers, and she said, perfect. So yes, so I'll remind you again when we get to shop stuff. So Thursday, so this is already a really busy Thursday. Then my mother had flown out in the morning. My brother flew in, and I hadn't seen my brother for almost 3 years, and so that was very nice. He'd lost a hell of a lot of weight and spent a bit of the time telling me where I was going wrong, which is always nice when other people tell you that. Anyway, look, it is what it is, and it was good that he was able to come up because Thursday evening was Jasper's Year 7 celebration. They call it a celebration, not a graduation. Jasper's at a school that does actually go from prep to 12, so he's staying on the same campus. He's just moving from the junior school to the senior school. So it's really weird not having any children in junior school anymore. They'll both be in senior school. The difference being in junior school, it's like elementary school, you have the same teacher for most things apart from specialist lessons like Japanese, music, PE. And in senior school you have different teachers for different subjects. So that's sort of the main difference. And in senior school you travel around to different classrooms instead of most things coming to your classroom and having a home base. I will have to throw a couple of photos in because Jasper just looked gorgeous. He really did. He had a fantastic time. I wore my shawl that I'd finished, my beaded shawl, and got quite a few nice compliments on that too. So that was lots and lots of fun on Thursday evening. Friday, I spent some time with my brother. We went out to dinner on Friday evening. Imogen was still complaining her teeth were sore, but it was the kids' last day of school, so it was nice. I was knitting the mitts for Jasper's teacher, and there was just no way I was going to get it done. Thursday was a write-off with the orthodontist and the meeting with the business mentor and then the graduation dinner that I just couldn't finish them. So I went through his teacher on Friday morning and thanked her, and Jasper had already got her some chocolates because she just loves chocolates. And I said, look, you're going to be here next week at school. We'd love to call in and catch up. And she goes, yeah, come in Monday. So we went in Monday afternoon and saw her, and I'd finished the mitts and gave them to her, and she almost cried. She said they were beautiful, and she tried them on and they fitted really well. I wasn't really happy with them. They were rushed. I could see a couple of errors in a bit of lacework, but when Jasper couldn't see it, Imogen said I was just being stupid, and she seemed to love them. So, hey, it's all good. So that was that. Over the weekend, again, it was a busy weekend. It was just getting things done. Mimel finished nights on Monday night. He'd been busy on nights. Jasper was racing around. He had things on. My brother flew out Saturday morning, and just Imogen was working, so I was dropping her in at work, playing mum's taxi. Monday I thought, excellent, I can sleep in. No, we had things on Monday morning. We had to get to appointments for the kids and things like that. So then it came, that's right, then Sunday evening. I have been having a lovely, lovely Ravelry conversation with a lady from America who messaged me about a month ago and said, I'm coming to Cairns. And I said, yay. And she goes, I want to buy some of your yarn. And I went, yay. Sunday I had Ravelry group as well. So that was really nice. I took all my yarn along for them. And they all had a look and bought some, which was very nice. So you'll find a few things have come down. They've been taken down from the shop because they were sold. Anyway, but they won't appear in sold items because I've just hidden them for the moment. Anyway, so she messaged me Sunday night and she goes, we're here. And I'm thinking, I thought you were here next week. But that's okay because I had a yarn dyed up. And then I thought, I really want to dye some fibre. And remember last week when I mentioned that we had the cyclone coming across the top, which was going to lead to a rain depression as well? The weekend had been beautiful. I dyed both days. Come Monday, and the forecast was scattered showers. Now, this time of year up here, scattered showers usually means you might get a shower in the morning, you'll have a beautiful clear day, till about 5, 6 o'clock at night when the clouds will come in and you'll get some evening rain. That's what typically happens in our wet season, and that was what I was expecting. So I woke up Monday morning thinking I was going to get some dyeing done and really wanted to dye this fibre that I had for this beautiful, lovely lady. And it was raining, and I thought, look, it's going to clear, don't worry. So I set it all up and put it outside, and then the rain came, and it rained and rained and rained. Now, this was my first time dyeing fibre. I dyed Wensleydale because I knew it was low-felting yarn, low-felting fibre. Plus I had some here that I wanted to try out. And I thought, so come 4 o'clock in the afternoon where I went out and I felt the jar and it was cold. I mean, if it's overcast, you can go out and feel the jars and they're warm and you know that the process is working. And I thought, I'm going to have to take this up and put it on the stove. So I did that, and then all the colours melded together. It actually came out really pretty, but not what I was anticipating. But still, I was then able to dry it overnight. And on Tuesday afternoon, drove up to Port Douglas and met with her, and we had a coffee, and it was just so lovely. She brought me, I'll have to go racing and show you what she got me, because it was just, she brought me some stuff from the States, which was just absolutely fantastic. And just catching up with someone, and the funny thing was she said, I feel like I know you because of the podcast, but you don't know me. And I'm driving up there, because Port Douglas is about an hour away, and it's the most fantastic, I love the drive. And I almost went up on the bike. But I thought, if I'm up there, I'm meeting her in the afternoon, I thought, if the clouds do come in and it starts raining, I don't really want to be driving back on the windy roads on the bike. So went up there in the car and spent a lovely time catching up with her. She wants to move here, which is understandable. Anyway, hey, you know who you are. So Um, really, really special doing that. Then I've been trying to get club orders out all week. I had the yarn dyed up. The extra I was going to put, I had an extra that I was going to put in for next month, and then the extra I was going to put in for this month, I couldn't find it anywhere. And I know I'd seen it a couple of weeks ago, so I went to a whole lot of different places, and then in the end I just thought, I'm putting next month's extra in here, and I'll do something else for next month. So that was delayed, and then I'm trying to get them all packaged up. I had a really late night one night, Monday night, because I was completing another finished object, which I can't show you. Well, it's going to be, show and tell this today is a whole lot of stuff that I can't show you. Anyway, this is all rambling all over the place, but bear with me. So I came back Tuesday and thought Tuesday night I'm going to get everything ready for the club, and something happened. What else happened on Tuesday? Something happened Tuesday afternoon. I went and did that. Then I think Emmy was working. And by the time I'm racing around and doing that with her, and I'm trying to get everything ready, and it just took forever. Yesterday morning, I got up early. I'm thinking, kids are on holidays. I'm still getting up at normal time, which is probably a good thing. So got up. I was meeting with friends, former colleagues for lunch, which is always a lot of fun. We meet once a month and go out to lunch. There's lots of places around here, because it's a tourist area, have special lunch deals. We went to a gorgeous seafood restaurant yesterday where we got 2 courses and a glass of wine. Just really lovely, and catching up and laughing, and some of them who are still working in the same sort of area, same industry, and hearing their stories and thinking, whilst I miss it, and it was probably one of my most rewarding jobs, I was actually an electorate officer for a politician and got to handle a lot of constituent inquiries. And people who come in, and I don't know, anyone who has anything to do with local politicians will probably understand this, where you get people who come in who just want to complain about everything, people who don't necessarily understand legislation or don't understand policy in the area, and you need to clarify things. And then you get the most rewarding things, where you get someone who has been done over by a government department, and you're able to intervene and step in and say, hey, this person's told me ABC, according to such and such, you should be doing DEF. Can you please explain what's happening? And they get back to you and they go, I'm sorry, they never told me B. They told me A and C. If I had A, B and C together, things would have been different. This changes everything. And you were able to sort things out. Often it was just a lot of mediation. So, yeah, and hearing stories from people, and leading up to Christmas, and as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Mango Madness, and Mango Madness kind of, yeah. Anyway, so I got some stuff organised yesterday morning, came home from lunch, I'm getting stuff ready, so I had a whole lot of other orders. I've done all my custom dyeing, everything that's come in, everything's gone out now, and I've got everything wrapped up, and I'm thinking I've still got the clubs, and I've got them there, and I've started wrapping, and I looked at the time, and I thought, I'm not going to get to the post office before it closes. I could take in these here, but I just do it all after dinner. So I did that. Mimel and I had our relaxation, our meditation last night. I think it's our third last one. And that was really good. And we went out for sushi afterwards. Emmy was at work. Jasper was at a friend's house last night. So we went out for sushi. I went and picked her up, came back here, got everything organised. I had 20 parcels in total to go out, including club shipments and some other orders that had come in over the last week, and some customs from the last couple of weeks that I was getting out. And I just thought, this morning when I woke up, it was great knowing I could go straight to the post office, get everything out, and it's just been a huge relief. I meant to then come back here and record this morning. However, Imogen's doing work experience next week, and she's doing it at a radio station, and somehow there'd been a miscommunication. All the other kids did work experience earlier in the year, but because she was in Japan, she missed out. So, school had somehow forgotten she was doing it. Teacher's last day there today, getting paperwork done, so we've been racing around doing that, and it's been a lot of fun. Apparently there's some famous YouTubers in town. Knitting podcasts don't cut it with the teenage group, but apparently if I did a podcast about my family and videoed the kids on the potty and putting up Christmas trees and doing everyday things, I'd be really famous as well, and I'd get all expenses paid trips to Australia. like these famous YouTubers are now. They've been to Sydney and Melbourne or something, and now they're up in Cairns, but they're not having any fan meetups. But she's not stalking them. There's no way she's stalking them. However, today they went bungee jumping and they're going up on Skyrail, and tomorrow they're going out to the reef. And if she gets to the reef terminal, she reckons 8 o'clock in the morning, she might be able to find out. And if it's one of the good ones, it's cheap, she might be able to actually go out in the boat with them. And I'm like, so you're just stalking them? She goes, I'm not stalking them. So yes. I said, so have you messaged them? They've got so many thousand fans, they wouldn't even see my messages. And I'm like, okay, so you tweeted at them? No. I said, so you're just stalking them. Anyway, so it's quite funny when you've got a 15-year-old, and she had one of her friends with her today, really lovely friends, so that was funny. And she suddenly has linked her YouTube with her Google+. So it means every time she comments on a YouTube video, it comes up in my Google+. And I said to her, so how come when this girl podcast with her mum, you said, my God, your mum's so cool? I said, so you're going to podcast with me so everyone can say I'm cool? And she goes, Mum, are you stalking me? And I said, no, it comes up on my G+. So that's what's happened. I said, but hey, and she goes, I'll think about it. So that would be quite funny, because apparently I'm just weird. Hey, I don't care. If your 15-year-old thinks you're weird, perhaps you're doing something right. Administratia. I do have a bit of administratia. We have our Gunner knit along. Now that is going on until the end of the year. And that is for you to complete any projects that you have been wanting to do throughout the year. So for me, I'm going to do my hat. That is coming up. I don't think I'm going to get my colour affection done this year. That will go into next year's Gunner list. And I want to organise the projects I've got at the moment that I haven't actually done any work on for ages, and work out how I really want to keep going with them. I've got one, it was a mystery shawl from 18 months ago that I think I'm midway through clue 3 out of 4, and I'm thinking I'm a bit silly if I don't actually finish this one, because, yeah. So I'm going to pick that one up. I have my Aranami shawl, which I haven't worked on for heaps of months, which I really enjoy, apart from all the weaving in at ends. And I'm thinking, well, why don't I just get it done? So I'm going to try and work out a way of getting some of that done as well. The other one, of course, is the poppies. Now, I haven't mentioned this for a few weeks, but I've been keeping it in the show notes, and I can't remember who it was, posted something on the Rav board for Down Under Yarn about their poppies they have made. Next year marks the centenary of the Great War, the First World War, and the year after that will be the centenary of the landing in Anzac Cove. That is a huge part of Australian history. It was a military stuff-up, I suppose, is a polite way of saying it. The British led the Australian troops into Anzac Cove in Gallipoli, and the Turks were waiting. So it meant that Australia had a lot of casualties there, and so did New Zealand. And from that, we have Anzac Day. That is our big military commemoration of military service, and that is in April every year, which marks the anniversary of the landing at Anzac Cove. And in 2015, it is the 100th anniversary. So a lady in Victoria started fibre crafting poppies, knitting and crocheting some poppies, and also felting them. And got together with a few of her friends and said, wouldn't it be nice to do 5,000 poppies? And she said, just for the centenary of Anzac Day. And it sort of blossomed from there. She does have a website, which is linked in the show notes. And she went on she was interviewed on radio in Melbourne. And they said to her, how many poppies have you got? And she hadn't been doing it very long. And she said, I think I've got over 1,000. And they said, so you're going to easily get to 5,000. And she said, yes, I probably will. And they said, well, I reckon you should go for 40,000, which will be one poppy for every Australian service person who died in the First World War. And that is now her aim, to get 40,000 poppies crocheted, knit or felted. There is information on the show notes, as I've said, and also it is a thread. And I'm just encouraging people to get together and create some poppies. That's something I'm going to be doing next year. She does ask that they are done in acrylic yarn, only because they won't rot and they won't get eaten. They will be. She did a display for Remembrance Day in November down in Federation Square in Melbourne, where she displayed almost 4,000 poppies. She strung them all together and just dangled there. You can dedicate the poppies to anyone who served in Australia's Defence Force. I don't have any direct relatives who served in World War One. I discovered my great-grandfather was a dentist, and they were considered an essential service, so it meant that he was actually encouraged not to go and serve in the war. However, my grandfather, his son, was a captain in the Second World War, and my grandmother drove trucks around New Guinea in the Second World War. So I've got those two direct links. I have my ex-brother-in-law is serving in Australia's Navy, hasn't seen active service, but has done a lot of work behind the scenes, from what I understand. I think most of what he does is classified, but I just reading between the lines, he's had a great impact on strategy in the Navy, modern strategy. My ex-sister-in-law's husband did see active service in the Gulf and has been affected by that. And these are people that are close to me and close to my kids. So therefore I'd like to be able to acknowledge them. You can see some bugs flying around. We've got Bug City here at the moment. Last week I did record in the evening and it was quite buggy sound-wise. This week we've got some more birds. I am hoping one week to record in the evening because I've got some woolly wagtails that keep coming out in the evening, and they had the most beautiful call, and for some reason they're just out and about at the moment, so that's lots and lots of fun listening to them. I had some kookaburras around recently with their crazy calls, so yeah, lots of that. That's the end of the Administralia, whatever it is. It's the end of that. Knitting, I actually don't have any to show you. As I mentioned, I finished the mitts. I'll put a photo of them in here. There. See? Can you see the mitts? They're pretty awesome, aren't they? Even though I didn't block them very well, I didn't pin them out or anything. I wet blocked them and just laid them out. One lace panel was quite longer than the other. Hey, it is what it is. They've been appreciated. I sewed the buttons on in a coffee shop before we went out to school. So yeah. And the other finished object I can't show because it's being sent off to someone, but you will get to see it at a later stage. Okay. Works in progress. I have my stripy socks, and I figure, hey, you've been seeing these stripy socks for a while. You know what stripy socks look like. They're in the watermelon yarn. I don't have them out here. I wasn't going to show them, but I've had them in my purse, so I've been doing bits on them when I've had time to do that. The other thing is the Advent Mystery Stole from Kimberlolly. I cast that on Sunday, which was the first day, and if you do 20 rows a day, you'll keep up. I did 5 rows I was in the middle of the 5th row on Sunday, and I'm purling back, and somehow I missed a yarn over somewhere. And when I'm going back on the 6th row, I'm thinking that doesn't look right. I could just see this spot. There was something that just wasn't right. So I thought, I'll fumble around, I'll pick it up. There's a yarn over missing. I worked it out. There was a yarn over that had been missing, and picked up that and somehow dropped another stitch, which unravelled right back to the start, through yarn overs, through decreases, and I just went, I'm just going to rip this back. So I did that and have not had time since then to think about it. So I do have the yarn I'm using is here. That is Cascade Alpaca Lace. And of course alpaca is very difficult to tink back, especially when you've got, SSKs and centre double decreases. I tinked back a few times in different places. So I'm looking forward to actually being able to sit down and relax and get that happening. I put Spotify on my computer. I used to have a Spotify premium account but couldn't justify the expense, so I was able to listen on my phone. The ads are driving me crazy, but I haven't not enough to actually warrant me going out and paying extra money to get rid of it. Anyway, so I've got some music to listen to, so I want to get going with that. And I'll be behind. It doesn't really matter. I wanted to quickly mention a couple of things though. One was beading, and I was going to show how I did it, but I don't think I have my crochet hook out here. I had, oh that's right, I had my disaster doing the mitts. My signature needles broke. They've been very nice about it, really, really lovely about it, and they're sending me a replacement. She said, no need to send them in, there's nothing wrong. She said, no, she was really apologetic that it had happened. Hey, these things happen, it is what it is. So, can I just excuse me? I've got so much around here now because I've been busy getting everything done that here it is. Okay. So, just carry on. I have my little, I've got one of them here. This is the one I'll use to show you. 0.75mm crochet hook. Now, where have I got some? Okay. Just bear with me here. Bear with me. Got some old yarn here. Just going to cast on a couple of stitches. Gee. Oh, I don't have to do these properly because all I'm doing is showing. Knitting on the fly, hey? Anyway. Okay. So I have my stitches here. I need another needle. Where's the original broken needle? Oh, I've got a double point here. Hey, okay. So to put, do it on the center stitch. To put a bead on something, what I do is I get my crochet hook. I have a whole heap of beads in here. I'll use a blue bead because these are my stitch marking beads. They're not beads that I've been using for, excuse me, for working on. These are beads I've been using. So I've got my bead on my crochet hook. I had the tip of my crochet hook pointing up, and I have that at 90 degrees to, I have that parallel to my needle. Okay, what I do is I slide it under like that and collect the stitch. You can see that, that's come off. I then keep it at 90 degrees to the stitch and pull the bead over the stitch. That was not a good demonstration, it's caught the yarn and split it. But I can then put that back on the needle, there we are, sorry, like that. So the big thing is to go in parallel to the, pick it up like that, and then put the bead down from there to there. So that was what I wanted to show someone with regards to beading. So I just had a question about it. I hope that helps. It's just how I do it. It's how it works for me. Yeah. Anyway. So. The other thing was lace that I wanted to quickly chat about because I had a couple of questions. So I've got my, there we go, that over there. And in Kimberlolly's board, someone was mentioning they'd never really done any lace work and it was really daunting for them. And when I thought about it, I thought, I actually find lace work, you have to concentrate, but I find it very rewarding and quite intuitive. Actually, no, not intuitive. I likened it to baking a cake. If I'm going into the kitchen, if I'm going to cook dinner for the family, and I've got half a kilo of mince, I know that I can brown some onion, doesn't matter what size the onion is, throw the mince in, tin of tomatoes, throw in some herbs, I won't bother measuring them, you know, just a bit of this, bit of that. Then I'll think, I know I've got some chili over here, I'll throw that in. Oh, what veggies have I got? Oh, there's a bit of zucchini there, I'll cut that up and throw that in. Oh, no, I don't really want to use that, but I'll chop up that veggie and throw that in. And at the end, I'll mix it all up and it will come out and it'll be fine. You know, some savoury mince. if I'm going to bake a cake, I will look at the recipe and it will say that I need plain flour, that I need baking powder, and that I need eggs, and they need to be a certain size egg, and I need a certain type of milk, I need cocoa, or I need melted chocolate, or whatever I need. And it all has to be measured accurately. I know that if I measure out everything accurately, make sure my oven temperature is correct, the cake should come out the way the person who wrote the recipe designed it. If I go in with the cake recipe and throw in an extra egg and say, no, I don't really want to use all that flour, so I'm going to use a bit less flour, but no, I won't use all that sugar, I'll take out half the sugar and put some honey in there, it's not going to end up being like what the recipe says it should be. Lace work is a bit like that. If you've got a chart, the person who has designed it basically tells you each stitch what you have to do and for how long you have to do it. If you're knitting a sweater, often you'll get the number of increases you have to, say you're doing a top-down raglan sweater, you get the number of increases you do for your shoulders, you'll separate for the sleeves, you'll get told how many stitches to cast on. There might be something there saying, if you've got wider arms, cast on an extra couple of stitches, whatever works for you. Measure the seams as they go down. You may need to do an extra couple of increases. Then you'll get, and they'll say, when you get to, say, 2 to 3 inches below the shoulders, below the underarms, you'll start doing some decreases. You probably need to do 3 decreases spread over about 10 to 12 rows, etc., etc., etc. Knit for 4 inches before doing some increases, the same ratio you do the decreases, until it's the right length, and bind off. Now, to me, that means that if I knit that 1 month, if I go along with that same pattern the following month with a different yarn, I may suddenly be, you know what, I don't need to do as many raglan increases here. I'm going to stop that. I'm going to go down. Don't necessarily want to do my shaping, and that's okay. And it's going to be the same gist of the sweater pattern. With lace work, it doesn't work like that. If you're going along and you suddenly say, I don't want to do a decrease here, I want to keep going, it's not going to be what the designer intended. If you go along and follow exactly what the designer intended, you're going to get an okay outcome. Yes, mistakes happen, and that's what I found when I was casting this one on and in the first few rows. And it actually took me a while to realise that the 2 edge sections were a bit different and it wasn't the same repeat all the way across. That was just my bad. I was tired. Whatever it was, it is what it is. With the mitts that I knit, I can see a couple of places where I've gone, yeah, that's not quite right, but the stitch counts worked out okay, and it doesn't really matter. One of the ladies who comes to knit group here in Cairns always talks about the Amish knitters who intentionally knit errors into their work because apparently for them only God is perfect, so therefore you can't have perfect work. I think lace work's a bit like that. If you can live with it, you live with it. I know my beaded shawl that I finished, my Susanna IC shawl, there's a couple of places in there that I fudged things. I missed a couple of yarn overs, picked them up. If I look at them, I can probably see it, but it doesn't really matter. I just wanted to say for people who are scared of doing lace that it's probably not something you're going to sit down and do watching podcasts or watching TV, but it can be very rewarding and it shouldn't be that daunting. It's really a few basic stitches. If you can do increases and decreases and yarn overs, then you can do lace. So just wanted to throw that in there because I had put something out on Kimberly's board about that. So I think that's it for the knitting. This was going to be a really short episode and it just keeps going on and on and on. So I do apologise. I am no spinning to show this week. It is what it is. Let's get to the shop. So I did mention quite a bit about the shop early on. I was able to dye up quite a bit this week. I have different things to show. And they will be going up tomorrow morning at 9:30. Now, once I've photographed these this afternoon, I will also put them up on a blog post. I'll put the images up on Ravelry and on the Facebook group, which is Solar Flare Fibres. And yeah, so anyway. Now, I have a couple, sometimes if I get people who contact me directly locally or usually locally and buy things, I just I hide things in the shop and then I go and dye them up again later, because the last thing I want is for them to be saying I want something, for me to say that's fine, here you go, thank you for the money, and then for someone else to order it the following day thinking you can ship out the day after that. So I usually take them down and hide them. It does mean when they go back up, they are often partway down the page. So that is going to happen to this one. This is the Apollo base. This is the Wine Dregs colourway. And it is I suppose, a burgundy red that just reminds me of the bottom of a red wine glass. Really, really pretty colour. That is going up again. I've got a couple more now that I'm going to dye up and put up. Other one I haven't got, so I didn't reskein it, is the Gingerbread House colourway. I'll put a photo in here of the Gingerbread House colourway to remind you that that will be going up as well. Now, different times of year are going to produce some different dye results, because the heat at the moment means that the dye takes a lot quicker than it took, say, 3 months ago. So it means I get some different results. I was using the the Anya base, which is the merino cashmere nylon base, and trying to do some dragon scales. Someone mentioned they hadn't seen it up for a while and wanted some, and it seemed to take a lot quicker than what it had taken in the past. So this is the result. It's not as splitty, the colour didn't split as much as it usually does. You can still see the variation there. And I'm still going to put this up. It's going to be called, it's still going to be a dragon scales, but it will be noted on the thing that it's not going to be the same dragon scales as you get. Perhaps I should call it summer dragon scales instead of winter dragon scales. Whatever it is. Hey, it is what it is, and that's what this one is. That's going up. Likewise, I dyed up Tequila Sunrise. We haven't had Tequila Sunrise for a while. This is the Apollo base, and the yellow, part of it is my fault. Tequila Sunrise, I hand paint part of it, and then once that is set, I throw it in a bath of yellow. And it hadn't set fully by the time I threw it in the bath of yellow, which meant that some of the orange and pink ran. I still quite like this. This is going to be called Tequila Sunrise Dark. This is the Apollo base, which is 80% BFL, 20% nylon. Yeah, I haven't reskeined this either. One of the things I'm looking at getting myself for Christmas is a reskeiner, because I've put things on my Swift. When I had 2 Swifts, it wasn't too bad, but I had to return the other Swift to the Fibre Crafters, which means I've got the one Swift, I've got my Nitty Noddy, and I just does your shoulder in. I'm just being lazy. I don't want to get a new toy. Anyway, so there is that. That is going up. What else have I got? I have on the Soul base. So I've got, all the bases are covered this week with new things. Soul base, this is the Zombified colourway, which has greens with flashes of purple through there. This is the Soul base, the 100% 3-ply merino, 490 yards per 100 grams. So it's great for shawls, and that would make a pretty funky shawl. Also on the Soul base, I have 2 new colourways. One, what did I say I was going to call this? I had a really funky name and I can't remember what it was. I think I was going to call it Happy Accident. So this is what I'm going to call this one, Happy Accident. There you go, that's fairly accurate. This one, I started off with a light blue. And it's still got flashes of light blue there. And I had the light blue, which is one of my regular blues, which I threw in the pot, very diluted, and dyed it that colour. Then I squirted some red and some more blue, and I think there might have been some purple as well into the skein. When that had gone through, because that's what I do with the Zombified, I dye it green and then squirt purple around, and it just floats and sinks down and it just settles. When that had happened, I looked at it and I went, not happy with it. So the following day, or was it that afternoon, whenever it was, I overdyed it with some purple. And I really, really like this. So this is called Happy Accident. It is a repeatable colourway because I took quite good notes about what I've done. So it has blues, it has purples, it has reds or burgundy type reds in there. Where are we there? So that is Happy Accident. Then I have another in the sole base, which is as yet unnamed, and it's sorry for the badly skeined. It's finished drying and I've just taken this here now. This is pinks and purples, so it's got some dark pink flashes, some light pinks, and some purples flashed throughout. And I'll come up with a name for it before it goes in the shop. It will just spring to me. That is again on the Sol base. On the Apollo base, very similar to that one, but the pink is a lot darker. It's more, I suppose, a lavender purpley type, I suppose, yeah, with some darker pink again and some purple, but not as light, you can see, as that. Similar sort of concept. There is that one that is going up in the shop as well. Finally, I have the Amaterasu, which is the merino silk lace. I have lavender. This is a new colourway again, and it is a beautiful light purple, which will be just perfect for a shawl. Perhaps a little bit lighter than what it's showing on the screen there. I'm trying to work out sort of that area in there is probably more accurate of what it is. You can see the silk there. It just, yeah, really, really pretty, soft, feminine colourway. Although I see purple as being quite a unisex colour. I don't see colour as being having gender to begin with. But yeah, I was very, very pleased with this. It's really quite close to it. So there will be photos of these up as well. So that is the Amaterasu base, which is 80% merino, 20% silk in the lace weight. So that will be going up. That's all that I have going up this week. I'll have more next week. Just a reminder about the gift vouchers. If you purchase a gift certificate in December, you'll have 15% added to it. So if you purchase, say, a $60 gift certificate, you'll get a voucher for $69, which I'll probably round up to $70. The person you're giving it to doesn't have to know that you haven't paid that much either. So yeah, I have had a couple of people who've said, can you nudge people for me, which I have done. If you would like me to nudge someone, just send them an email or something and say, hey, I understand that you know such and such, and they are a keen knitter or crocheter or crocheter, hooker, and have you thought about giving them this for Christmas? I'm happy to do that. First newsletter will be going out next week, and club as well is coming to, first club is coming to a close. I'm going to carry on the club, and it's still going to be Where the Rainforest Meets the Reef, because the inspiration I can get from that, from just my local area, is it's almost endless. So for the first, I'd say at least the next club, possibly the one after that as well, will be Where the Rainforest Meets the Reef. Sign-ups for that will be starting soonish. That will be for January, February, March. I was late in getting the November club out. As I say, November just slipped away, so I do apologise for that. December will be going out, though, before the end of December. I have the yarn here, I have the dye, I've got my extras now. I just have to make up some extras. I've got stitch markers to make up. I send out stitch markers with every package. So it's all good. No need to worry. No need to fret. But the new club sign-ups will be happening soon. If you're a current club member, there is a message in your club shipment. Yeah, that's on there. Anyway, there is a message in your club shipment if you'd like to renew. Just simpler ways to do that. And there is also a discount for people who've been club members previously. So that's one of the benefits of being a club member. But I will be opening up new slots, so that is going to be happening. Possibly I'll open them up next week. Might be, what's the date? So December's getting on, and if you want it for a Christmas present, I'll open it up, and they won't be going out until January. I am going to be moving things forward, as I say, for myself. So they will be going out mid to late month from now on, instead of going out the following month, which I do apologise for. It's just me getting better organised. I hope to have some fibre dyed up in the new year. I hope to have some heavier weight yarn as well going up in the new year. So that is a wee bit exciting, this expansion and things that are happening. I think that's about it. And this has just gone on and on and on. And I do apologise because it was meant to be a shorter episode. But thank you for sticking around with me, especially in your busy times, which December usually is. And until next week, I'll say uru, cheers, bye.